Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Michael Doolin, delighted to be here, delighted to be in a position to support the TEDxBedford community, and looking forward to meeting you later on. I come from a village west of here called Doolin. I grew up there, born and bred there. It's still very much dear to me and it's very much home in many ways, albeit I've been in the UK now for over 30 years. She told me she just wanted to be good friends, and we ended up having 2 kids, but we're still working at the good friends bit. But grew up in Dublin, went to uni there, came over to the UK in '87, so I've been here 33 years. The little award in the middle is a little memory of my mother, who, bless her, is 81. Around 6 months ago, she got a hole-in-one on the golf course. Cost her £452.27 because she had to buy a round of drinks for everybody, but she's 81 and she got a hole-in-one. That's a memory which I'll hold dear as well. So without further ado, let's just think about, what does resilience mean? I think resilience means what you can see behind me. It means getting up again and again and again when the going gets tough. It means going that extra mile when you know it's difficult. It means going out in the weather when it's rainy and it's horrible to ensure that you do that paper round again and again and again at 5 o'clock in the morning. It means getting up and going beyond the call of duty time after time after time. And when you think about, well, that's fine, Michael, but show me some examples of that. When I talk about the onion, I want people to think, please, about the onion. The onion is a reference to my view that all of us as individuals are very much layers. We're made up of multi-layered complexities. We've got inner core, we've got outer skin, we've got bits of us that we don't necessarily want people to see. And I think when I think about myself and I think about my career and I think about what I've done over the years, I've been a little bit like an onion. I've let certain people only see what I want them to see. I've tried to expose elements of layers from time to time. I've tried to move the layers on. I've tried to take a little bit off. And I think we're all multi-layered. And I think there's an element of trying to protect the core as much as possible. But sometimes we've got to remember that certain people can be a lot more easily exposed than others. It is easy to take some of those layers off some people who have not been given the skills to be resilient, who've not got the strength and the force of personality, who don't have the depth and the strength of relationships, who don't have the systems, the processes, the mechanics around which they support themselves through exercise, through the rugby, through the sport, through the family and friends that keep them sustained and keep them engaged. So please remember the onion. Remember that there are layers to every one of us. We are complex beings, and we need to look after ourselves as much as possible, because there are elements to us that I think need to be nurtured and need to be fostered. And I think the onion, for me, sums that up. I think about building resilience. Think about yourself as that onion. Think about yourself. Okay, so he's talking about me being resilient. What does that mean? How do I keep that? How do I keep topping that up? Because when the next crisis arises, when the next situation occurs where I'm going to have to pull on those resources, what's going to be left the following week when something else goes wrong? I'm reminded of the quote by, I think, Einstein, that said, the definition of insanity is when you expect something tomorrow to happen based on doing the same thing today. So if I keep doing the same things, how is tomorrow going to change? Well, it's not. And so many people over the years just keep getting that equation wrong. So I'm going to have to change tomorrow. I'm going to have to do something different today. So what does that mean? And to some extent, I was having this conversation earlier with a colleague, to some extent that means we're going to have to keep topping up our bucket of resilience. We're going to have to keep ensuring that we're looking after ourselves, that we're being kind to ourselves, that we're ensuring that we're taking time out to do the exercises, to to do the reading, to go for that walk, to spend time with children, to spend time with the dog, to spend time with loved ones. You know, how much time do we spend looking after ourselves? How much time have you actually spent in the last week ensuring that you've taken time out for you? You're busy with work, you're busy with children, you're busy with lives. But how much time have you actually taken out of your busy lives and busy schedules in the last week to ensure that you've attended that film, you've read that book, you've done that exercise? And it's a constant struggle. It's a constant struggle, particularly given where we are as a society now. It's a constant struggle given COVID. It's a constant struggle given where the demands on our time are. But I really have seen the benefit of getting this right sometimes, finding the opportunity for me to read, finding me the opportunity to go to the football, finding me the opportunity to play a game with friends and family. It's hugely important, and I put that slide there behind me to ensure that you recognise it's important to keep this stuff topped up. It's almost like you have to go to the garage every week to ensure that you fill yourself up. And believe me, you do get points when you keep that up as well. I'm reminded as well about just a personal story. I remember a number of years ago, I was in a position where I had to advise, or I had to tell my parents that their only son in a good Irish Catholic family was getting divorced. And with certain trepidation, anxiety, shame, fear, upset, I went to tell my mother particularly that her only son was getting a divorce, and this is after 20 years of marriage. And I remember the 10 key magic resilient terms that she used when I went to see her. And inevitably in an Irish household, every conversation starts in the kitchen. Every conversation starts over a cup of tea. And I remember saying to Mum, I said, we're about to get a divorce. And she looked at me and stopped, and came over and put her hands behind me on my shoulders and said, well, you're just going to have to go and get somebody else. And I just thought, wow, if I could say that to my two girls, God forbid I ever have to, but if I had to, I hope I come out with some terms like that. Unconditional support, love, direction, vision, all wrapped up in 10 magic words. Well, you're just going to have to go and get somebody else. That's a woman who's now 81 who got a hole-in-one 6 months ago. That's resilience.